Yo, what up guys, welcome to a video with my first impressions on the Sanctum of Rebirth. It is now in the game, and we've gone through, we've got a couple of hard mode kills, and I am getting very much the hang of it, and getting pretty consistent, and with that I do think that I'm at a point where I can probably give my thoughts on this boss dungeon. Well, first of all, holy freaking crap, it is insane. It is absolutely crazy. Compared to what we have in game already, this boss dungeon is completely miles apart. Like, it knocks everything else that I've played in this game out of the water, in my opinion. The whole thing seems incredibly well done. I didn't run into anything in the fights where I thought, man, this seems broken, this doesn't seem right, this seems like they've rushed it, or like it feels like something frustrating and irritating that probably shouldn't even be there. I had no complaints about the whole thing the whole way through, and everything does feel kind of polished. However, we of course are going to start from the beginning. The first boss, as you enter the area, immediately you're going to notice the insane amount of work done by the art team on this. Like this whole release is done perfectly. Not just the mechanics of the boss, the art is brilliant, the environment is just set up like perfectly, everything feels really good. When you get into the actual area, you're going to notice it straight away. As you enter into the fight, don't just start the fight immediately. They've thought about it. You can actually take the time to conjure all your stuff, do all your prep before you start a fight if you're using anything else like overloads, all that sort of stuff. And then you can head into the fight and take on the bosses. They don't just attack you immediately. Now, all the bosses also are very much heavily focused on positioning and movement in the fight, as well as mixing things like having to do good DPS and having to pay attention to what's going on. They're very mechanically heavy, which is something we've been asking for the longest amount of time. All three bosses are mechanically heavy. They don't just hit you really hard in one go in terms of like the auto attacks, and then you're not just doing a DPS dummy. These bosses are not DPS dummies like, for example, Raziel. You are 100% going to have to be reacting to stuff quickly and paying attention to what is coming up next and seeing what the hell you're going to have to do. You're going to be thinking ahead a hell of a lot. But at the same time, you also have to be putting out a decent amount of damage to try not to have to repeat yourself too many times. Let's be honest, like the more you have to do all these mechanics in the loop, the more chance of you getting blown up there is. This would be insanely difficult if the bosses weren't telegraphed really well. All of the damage areas are telegraphed perfectly. You can see them on screen. It's just so easy to see where not to stand. Anything that lights up, don't stand on it. Move out of the way completely. Not doing so does result in a heavy amount of damage, but making a mistake, just like one single mistake, isn't going to get you killed. For example, in Vorkath, if you messed up with like one thing, you just blow up and you're dead, right? Kind of feels bad. However, in this, if you make a mistake or a couple of mistakes, you're not immediately punished and completely like murdered and thrown out of the fight. You can make mistakes and recover from them if you are using things like Reflect or Resonance. If you know that you're going to miss like one of the jumps, if you know that you're going to get hit by one of the big like telegraphed abilities, throw on a Reflect, throw on a Resonance or something like that, and you likely will be okay. Even in hard mode. This feels good because if you mess up a couple of mechanics in a row, 2, 3 maybe, then yes, you're probably going to die, and you probably deserve to die if you messed up that many abilities in a row, right? Like, trust me, I've messed up plenty of them. But it does feel good to be forgiven for like the odd mistake here and there, for like a misclick or being stood in the wrong place by accident. The bosses have new mechanics that we haven't seen before, which I'm not going to give way too many spoilers for right now because this isn't meant to be a guide. And so when I make that, you can choose whether to watch that or not, but you will be greeted with some new stuff that you just haven't seen before and will have to figure out on how to deal with. A lot of these again are positional based, but there's some other stuff too. There's some other things as well, but it took me by surprise, and without chat probably like helping me out on recognizing a few things, probably would have taken me a few more attempts than it did to actually realize what was going on. It took me plenty of time to actually deal with the mechanics correctly, but actually realizing what's going on went a little bit quicker because of chat. Thank you guys. In my opinion, the bosses definitely improve in difficulty the further along you go. This is something Jagex said they wanted to happen. The first boss is going to be a lot easier than the second one, and the second one a lot easier than the third. They ramp up, but they actually ramp up pretty quick in my opinion. The final boss, especially in hard mode, is insanely hard. Like it's crazy. It took me hours to get this down and actually completed. To be fair, a lot of it was probably down to the fact that I had my keybound on a stupid place, but I fixed that and then we got the kill not long after, but I'd still also got a lot of practice in by that point, so who even knows. But I died for around about 4 hours, 5 hours in a row without actually getting a kill on the final boss, and then when I finally got it, it was look at this. We're actually gonna get it. No. No. Oh, we did it. Oh. Thank fuck she died, because I was about to die as well. Holy shit. That feels good. Okay. Holy shit. That was the most intense boss fight ever, man. That is crazy. That was my first hard mode kill. That's nuts. That is nuts. Yeah, it was an epic moment for me. I clearly found it very, very enjoyable. But the whole time I was dying over and over again, I never really felt like, not frustrated, because I definitely got frustrated, but I was never bored. I didn't hate the fact that I died and had to go back in. And this is something that I was saying, and I'm really glad they did about. The designs of normal mode and hard mode have been done in a way that it doesn't feel bad if you actually fail, at least in my opinion. Normal mode is where most average players are going to be playing. There's going to be more players playing normal mode than there is in hard mode, and that's absolutely fine. But the new mechanic that they did for deaths in normal mode is perfect. You can get through that fight, and if you do die, it's not a big deal. You're just going to revive. Now, there is an insta-kill at the end, which will be in the guide, and it will explain how to deal with this. Again, don't want to give too many spoilers. This will kill you and then send you out of there. But if you do die, you just go back in and continue where you left off. And as far as I can tell, you aren't actually punished for dying in these fights. At least, I don't think so. I could be wrong, correct me on this if not, but I don't think you are punished for actually doing that. And so you can continue back on nice and easy. And this is something that I love a lot because it carries over to hard mode as well. If you die in hard mode, you don't have to restart the entire thing. You can just go back to the boss you were on. If you've killed the first two bosses and you die in hard mode, don't worry, you don't have to restart the whole thing. You can keep practicing the boss that you are struggling with. So if you want to keep practicing just the last boss, you don't have to rerun the whole thing. This kind of is something that would make a lot of sense, right? Because it's 3 different bosses. But imagine that it was like Telos phase 5. You get to phase 5 at Telos at 100%. You die immediately. You've had 3 seconds to actually practice it. And then you got to do the whole few phases again. Now, it's the same thing with this boss. You have to get through the end of the phases and stuff. And if you want to practice the last phase, then you got to do the whole thing. But at least you don't have to run the first 2 bosses again. I'm so glad they did it like this. When I died the first time in hard mode, I thought, well, back to the beginning. And then as soon as I got the continue playing thing, I was super glad. The next thing I want to talk about though is the actual design of the drops. The drops feel great in terms of the rares for sure, because normal mode has the tier 95 weapons and the scripture as well. You're going to be getting a lot of GP and reward from just doing normal mode. You can get the tier 95 magic weapons, which are likely going to hold value for a long time. They've crashed really quickly, don't get me wrong. These are not insanely expensive items as of right now because they're in normal mode. But they will always be probably worth it for normal mode to be able to do this. Having tier 95 weapons in normal mode is a great thing. Hard mode, however, also has its own unique drop too, which is holding an insane amount of value, which is the shard that increases your weapons from tier 95 to tier 100 damage. It's correct, tier 100 damage. This thing is insanely expensive and makes hard mode absolutely worth the grind. For example, with Vorkath, it was never really worth doing hard mode because the GP differences just didn't make sense. However, with hard mode here, it absolutely makes sense. If you can do hard mode, bro, that thing last time I heard was over 10 bill. I don't know if it is still. Maybe it's dropped, maybe it's changed, maybe it's gone up. But that's crazy. However, I absolutely love that the weapons are in normal mode because it means that it doesn't lock the fun item, the actual exciting item from the boss behind stupidly high prices and behind hard mode. It means that people can just get their hands on them a lot easier because the prices will come down to a reasonable price because it's normal mode. I've already got mine. I paid 1 bill a piece for the main hand and then the offhand, so 2 bill in total. However, they've probably come down a little bit more by the time this video comes out, and I wouldn't be surprised about that. So either way, I mean, having those on the cheaper side, still day one, so 2 bills expensive, but they will come down, is a good thing. Accessibility to the weapons I think is great, but then having the upgrades and stuff and keeping value in hard mode is absolutely the way to go. Jagex, this is great. Keep this in mind for future stuff and do it the same way. You've done a great job. So drops feel good, the fights themselves feel really good, and the bosses are definitely go by their name. Normal mode, I'd say, yeah, fits pretty good. For a high level normal mode, definitely. It's still a higher level, don't get me wrong, but it is normal mode, and if you can tell the difference. When you hit hard mode, boy, this boss is hard. It's very hard, and RuneScape's needed a hard boss for the longest time. The mechanics overall are completely different to what we would normally see. Positioning is very much the main focus of the thing here, as well as getting out the DPS and paying attention to what's going on. It's very much keep you on your toes, and I like that a lot. I don't think I'll be looking to try and make an AFK guide for any of these bosses as of yet. I don't know if that'll be possible. I'm pretty sure you're not AFKing these bosses. Maybe someone will figure something out, but as of right now, I don't know. I don't think you can get past the first boss AFK anyway, because the way you got to stand on the different things and whatnot. But overall, I think this is probably one of the best additions in terms of PVM to the game that has happened for a long time. I enjoy it a hell of a lot. It is quickly gonna become my favorite boss, I think, and that's my overall thoughts of the new boss release. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I did a poll in the chat on stream, and we had something like 92 or 93% of people said they love it or love how it looks if they hadn't tried it, and then only like 8%, 7-8%, something like that, said that they didn't actually think it was good. So I think it's gonna be heavily on the side of that it's good. And if you can't kill it right now and you feel like, man, it's too hard for me, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do it, trust me, you'll be able to do it. Keep trying, keep practicing, upgrade your gear, focus on the bosses for now. It'll be worth the grind in the long run. You got this. My first ever kill at Seiryu took me 26 minutes. Yep, 26 minutes. Now I can kill this in hard mode. So you just gotta keep practicing. You definitely will get there. Grind out your gear at other places. Yeah. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and I'll catch you on the next one. Catch you later, guys. Bye.